Hey, what's going on, besties? Paul Chin back again with answers to your DMs. Thank you to everybody who's been sending me questions. If this is your first time here, I have a new EP coming out. It's called Professional. It'll be out November 4th. And I've already sent it to a bunch of randoms on the internet because they just sent me a DM asking to hear it. I wanted some press coverage, didn't think I was gonna get it, and then I just realized, well, the function of press coverage for new music is to have someone ask the questions on behalf of the listeners, the audience, and allow artists to put those answers in front of the audience. If the middleman does not exist, then let's go directly to the people. So that's what we're doing. I'm answering questions from folks who've already heard the music, and they've got some good ones, so let's get right into it. Got one from Evan Cook Audio. What influence have car-centric video games had on your music? I am a lifelong racing sim fan. Maybe not racing sim. I would say like arcade racer more than anything. It's a thing that I don't know, I just kind of carry. There's like a rhythm that I carry when I make music in terms of what I think is fun to make, what I think is fun to listen to, what I think is fun to play. So I love that. I'm a Need for Speed head more than anything else. Never quite got into Gran Turismo. Got into Forza later in life because I only got an Xbox later in life. But that said, I also love, non-car racing sims. Like I love the Wipeout series. The first game I ever had for PSP was Wipeout Pure, and that has a very, I think, distinctive audio identity. I think that's been imprinted on me for sure. But yeah, I think car-centric video games are cool because if you're a car enthusiast or a driving enthusiast, I think a part of that is very much like, what music do you play? Maybe. I guess it depends on your car. What music do you play though? And so I make stuff that I've spoken about before, goes hard when you get past the aux cord. I think that there's just an energy that I really want to bring to all of my music, because you never know where you might catch somebody, and if you catch them in their car, you've got a captive audience, and I think there's something really special, or there's a really special opportunity to have someone being able to turn up if they're stuck in traffic, or turn up if they're going a little fast on the highway. Either or, it's a great time. This one comes from Kelsey. Kelsey asks, when you work on a project, how do you think about narrative? How do you think about that in songs or albums? I'm always thinking about narrative. I am not a singles artist. I'm an album or collection of songs, EP, whatever you want to call it, artist through and through. Even in stuff that's not my own, like even as a DJ, when I'm picking other people's songs and assorted music throughout time and space, I think about passage of time, and I think about what songs follow each other and what songs live next to each other and sit next to each other in a certain way that someone who is not making those decisions is going to get to experience in real time. So when I'm making my own stuff, I think about how many songs do I want to make? How long do I want the audience to spend with me on this project, which is definitely going to be about something, maybe a few things, but like some pretty clear things. When I have made the music, part of what that entails is figuring out what are all the different things you can say about that subject, or say about that theme or that idea. What are all the different ways you can actually encapsulate that? Then how do you arrange them? How do you sequence them? How do you put them together in a way wherein, again, the audience was not there when I was thinking about these ideas, was not there when I was thinking about how to make cool songs out of them, was not there when I was thinking about any of this. They're only going to be there when they hear it for the first time. So if they're spending their time with me, they press play at 000, how do I want them to move from there all the way to the end of like the 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes that they spend with me? In the case of this project, I picked 3 of the songs that I had written for a much larger project, or a much larger body of work around this idea, these themes. And I picked them because thematically and narratively, they tell a story, or they communicate a cohesive idea. They're not even the whole idea. They're not even all of the ideas that I had actually composed and written and produced. But these 3 actually sit together well enough that they can be a narrative, even removed from the rest of the stuff that I got going on. Sarah asks, which of these tracks is the dearest to your heart and why? It's kind of a funny question or a funny idea, thinking about which of these songs that is about maybe some of the saddest stuff that you've experienced as an adult, as a 30-something, is the nearest and dearest to your heart. I mean, I love all of these for different reasons. I don't think I've ever thought of them as dear to me, but I think if that's the question, thinking about the criteria, it has to be Tao of Palm, because even though it is just a moment in the narrative of this whole project, it is what I believe the most. It is what I believe the most, and it is who I think I am the most. And not entirely and not always, but I think it is who I am the most and who I aspire to be, which is just a guy who loves his friends and would do anything for them and really believes that all we have is each other. Because life is hard. Hard things come your way, sometimes by circumstance, sometimes as inflicted upon you. And I believe that like the best way to possibly be living is in community, in and amongst a community that takes care of you in the way that like the Tao of Palm, the open hand does, which is it gives freely and it receives in kind. We've got one from Michelle, who asks, do you write the lyrics first and create music around them, or the music first? In this case, it was both. I don't write lyrics that often. I do from time to time when I'm working with other people, and other times when I've made stuff for myself, sparingly. But in this case, I knew early on, even before I think I was really making this album, that I was going to be writing lyrics and writing songs for myself to perform. And as I was processing all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions and experiences, I'm not a note taker in therapy. I think my notes or the synthesis of what I get out of therapy comes to me after the session. So I would write notes about that, and I would try to write them, I guess, as poetically as possible, because I think that that's actually just how my brain works. That's how I know something or I understand something, when I can put it into, for lack of a better word, poetic or like a philosophical kind of form. And I was writing a bunch of that stuff down for a couple of years, and yeah, I knew that some of that would probably inspire at least lyrics, if not become actual lyrics, but I wrote that stuff down independently of any music. And there was other stuff where I was just making this music, not necessarily knowing or thinking I was working on the album. I was already working on the album, but I was also just making music for other expressions, or sometimes just to try stuff out. As it happened, some of that music that I would just be making just to try a thing would end up working out for an idea that would crystallize later. So some of that stuff was music first, and then you find the lyrics to go with it, you find the bars to go with it. And some of it was lyrics, in some cases not even lyrics, just words, ideas, concepts first, and then when you have some music that you're looking for lyrics, you go back to that and you turn them into lyrics. Okay, these were some great questions, and I think we've got an episode here. So thank you again for watching. Thank you for sending in your questions. I think you guys are all so smart and all so insightful and are picking up on a lot of things that I don't even know that I have named as such, even though I've been sitting with the music for over a year. So I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to spend the time with you and to be able to talk about these things and get these ideas out into the public, because they're so much bigger and so much more important than me. I won't live forever, but music will, and what the music is about also, I think, could, but only if people have conversation about it. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do that. Professional will be out November 4th. Please pre-order on Bandcamp. That helps the most. Otherwise, you can pre-save on the DSP of your choice, unless that choice is Spotify. It's not going there. It just isn't. You can continue to send me questions. You can send those to me via DMs on Instagram or on Blue Sky, or send an email to Sanzuu Group. All of that will be linked below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's really cool if you do that. Leave a comment. I'll respond to your comments. I don't get many comments on YouTube. I don't really spend a ton of time here on YouTube. But if you start spending time with me here, I'll start spending time here. I appreciate everything you do. We'll speak again soon.